Welcome back in, guys, to the King Josiah TV podcast, where the show was created to educate, promote, and influence the kingdom of Jesus Christ in this world. If you're listening, guys, on YouTube, do me a favor. Go ahead and smash the subscribe button before we get started. Go ahead and give me a like. If you're listening audibly on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that follow button before we get into it, guys. But let's go ahead and jump into today's show.
Flexing my God and all of his authority. Practice was preaching purity, priority. Can't conform to it even if maturity. Choose to go that way, God has been restoring me. They grilling the boy, cause I won't let them George forming me. Try to put me in a box, I got off the ropes, I won't let them corner me. God has been warning me, telling me, tell his people ain't no room for lukewarming me. Order me, Lord it be, yo, will it never was mine. Like Amazon Prime, his turnaround time around prayer.
All right. The Ark of the Covenant was recently found by the CIA. They had some files that came out that released on their website that they found the Ark of the Covenant, which the Ark of the Covenant has been lost. A lot of people thought it was lost after after it was put into Solomon's temple, the temple that Solomon built for God. It hasn't been seen. So it was very interesting, the findings that they found and how they found it was very interesting. There's been a lot of speculations on this, and they said they found it by remote viewing. When I first heard this, I didn't know what remote viewing was. I didn't understand, and we're going to get into that. But remote viewing is which you would think a government agency wouldn't get into, but remote viewing is pretty much just using psychics, which is beyond me. But the things that they said and the things that they talked about were very accurate, and again shows proof that the Bible is real, proof that the scriptures are truth. Not that I'm saying that we should be using these sort of entities and people to find these things, but what they were speaking to was true. Just some quick information before we get into a video talking about the findings of the Ark of the Covenant. But the Ark of the Covenant, a lot of you, if you don't know or not that knowledgeable on what the Ark of the Covenant was or is, the Ark of the Covenant is also known as the Ark of the Testimony or the Ark of God. It is a sacred gold-covered wooden chest in the Hebrew Bible and the Old Testament, believing to have contained the Ten Commandments. And so just some brief things on the Ark of the Covenant. The significance of it. The Ark of the Covenant was constructed according to God's instructions given to Moses on Mount Sinai in Exodus. It was carried by the Levites and was a central symbol of God's presence among the Israelites. The Ark was believed to be on the throne of was believed to be the throne of God and was carried by the Israelites and the high priests in the wilderness during their search to the homeland. The Ark was said to have disappeared from the temple of Jerusalem when Babylon invaded in 1586 BC. So talking about what I was talking about before and pertaining to Solomon's temple. But let's go ahead and let's pull up the video here. I just want to give you guys some brief context on the Ark of the Covenant, because I think a lot of people don't know a lot about it or kind of vague on what it really was and is. So let's go ahead and listen to this video here about the findings that the CIA found and how they discovered these things. I think it was just it's wild and crazy. They've been finding a whole bunch of stuff that they've been coming out with, which, leave it up to, your own deciphering why all of a sudden the CIA is coming out with these things, which is.
I've been waiting to talk about this all day. New CIA documents just resurfaced from 1988 that claims the Ark of the Covenant is real, and we have a location for it. Sounds like something out of Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, but it's true. And the CIA, according to these reports, says the Ark was confirmed to exist through remote viewing, describing a gold-covered chest.
This is just what you're talking about. I was telling you guys about remote viewing.
Guarded by powerful beings in an underground Middle Eastern chamber. Joining us now to unpack this explosive story is Jason Shurka, author of The Pyramid Code.
That's just wild, dude. This is wild. Just even just the fact that this is coming out is just crazy.
Welcome back, Jason. Two crazy big stories that I'm in love with. We talked about the Egyptian pyramids this week, earlier in the week with you, and now we've got the Ark of the Covenant. It seems crazy. First of all, what do you think this revelation?
I forgot to say, a lot of you already know. I just didn't cover because I know a lot of people know about it. But yeah, the Egyptian pyramids, they found the energy things stored below them, going hundreds of feet into thousands of feet into the ground. So there's just been a lot of weird stuff. That's what I was talking about. There's a lot of weird CIA stuff that's starting to just come out, which is just interesting. Very interesting.
Means the CIA document. And maybe I'll ask you, do you think they're also maybe releasing this information now to distract us from something else?
I'm very glad you brought that up because it was a point that I was going to share. And I'm sure people have different perspectives on it. But let's cover what this thing is first, and then we can go over, again, just the factual essence of what's going on here. What do we know? What are we being told? What could be false? And 2 times in a week, how does this connect to exactly what was written in the Pyramid Code? So we know that in the Pyramid Code document, it already spoke exactly about what was underneath the pyramids. Well, it spoke about the Ark of the Covenant as well, with its exact location, where you can find it, and what it entails. So what the CIA actually declassified in those documents, once again, is not new information. It's just a big organization agency coming out saying, hey, look, this is what we did. And by the way, we did it like 40 years ago in 1988. So this project is called Project Sunstreak, like streaking the sun. And it's using something called psychoenergetics. So you called something called remote viewing. Remote viewing is essentially this thing that is weird to most people, but it's very real. I've worked with remote viewers before. A lot of agencies work with remote viewers to find things that they can't find through traditional mechanisms, like missing bodies. I work with somebody named Patricia Mona. She found 30.
These are psychics. They're not outrightly saying it. They're using different wordsmithing their way around what they're talking about. Psychics. They're talking about using demonic things. And what do we know? What do psychics tap into? Demonic spirits. They're tapping into the spiritual realm, but they're tapping into it illegally. And so if I don't know if a lot of you know what really remote viewing is, or just the explanation, because again, they're wordsmithing their way around using demonic spirits, witchcraft, and tapping into demonic spirits to be able to get this information. And so remote viewing, also known as psychic spying, using psychics and people that speak to spirits and entities, is alleged ability to gain information about a target that is physically distant or hidden from the viewer's sense. How it's done. Remote viewers often are trained individuals who are expected to describe the target location, object, event, or person without any prior knowledge or access to the target. That's the way of trying to view the validity. They put them in controlled conditions, or remote viewing experiments often involve controlled conditions where viewers are unaware of the target location or even until after they completed the viewing. Historically, the U.S. government, specifically, this was interesting to me, specifically the CIA, investigated remote viewing techniques, particularly in the 1970s, potential applications in intelligence gathering, which I didn't know that the CIA was that deep into that. Our government is definitely knee deep in demonic things.
30 missing bodies for the RCMP in Canada when they couldn't find it themselves. And it's all done through this really weird mechanism, but it works because these very big agencies actually use them.
Yeah, the CIA. The CIA has been using remote viewing for years.
For a long time. This is not wacky stuff.
Yeah.
It's not wacky stuff, but it's
wacky. See how the world tries to normalize demonic stuff, demonic practice. Well, it's not normal to talk to demons and get information and figure things out, because how we find it out regardless. What does the Bible say about this? The Bible says, do not turn to mediums, necromancers, do not seek them out, and so make yourselves unclean by them. I am the Lord your God. We are told not to interact with these people, not to intercede with these things. We are interacting with the spiritual realm illegally, and people think it's cool now, and they've normalized interacting with demons.
It sounds wacky because we just don't understand. What do you mean projecting consciousness out to a specific coordinate of longitude and latitude and being able to understand exactly what's there? So they did this in 1988, and I want to read something real quick from their actual declassified documents from December 5th, 1988. It was a session by, they don't give us the name, but it's called Remote Viewer Number 32, which means they used over 30 people in this experiment to do it. This specific session lasted 90 minutes from 9:15 a.m. to 10:45 a.m. on December 5th, 1988. And it says the following. Target is a container. The target is what they're looking for on the longitude and latitude lines. This container has another container inside of it. The target is fashioned of wood, gold, and silver. The target is similar in shape to a coffin and is decorated with seraphim, which are like these gold-looking statues. This target is located somewhere in the Middle East,
which are the angels that sit on the top of the Ark of the Covenant. We're going to go over what the Bible tells us what exactly the Ark of the Covenant is and how accurate this actually is. And this is the part that will blow your mind. Again, they're tapping into demonic spirits that were around at some of these times and seeing these things. That's why they're able to get this information.
As the language spoken by individuals present seemed to be Arabic. Visuals of surrounding buildings indicated the presence of mosque domes. I'm going to tell you right now that I know people are talking about, is it in Ethiopia? Because there's a lot of, Arabic speaking people over there. No, it's under the Dome of the Rock. And I'll tell you how we know that in a second. But it continues on by saying the target is hidden, underground, dark and wet were all aspects of the location of the target. The purpose of the target is to bring the people together, meaning a religious object. It has something to do with ceremony, memory, homage, the resurrection. There is an aspect of spirituality, information, lessons, and historical knowledge far beyond what we know. And then it goes on by explaining something which I can elaborate on further of what this means. The target is protected by entities and energies. Yeah. And can only be opened by those who are authorized to do so. This container will not / cannot be opened until the time is deemed correct. Once it is time to open the container, the mechanics of the lock system will be found to be fairly simple. Individuals opening the container by prying or striking are destroyed, meaning they die, by the container's protectors, meaning its energies, through the use of a power unknown to us. Now, it sounds weird, but that's coming from the CIA. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
this is like the sword and the stone.
Someone in the chat
only
says,
the right people can pull it out. And
the Holy Spirit, God, that's what they're talking about. The world can have their own viewpoints and weird analogies on what they think that they're talking about. But again, these are things that us as Christians, this isn't new to us. This isn't undiscovered information, uncharted territory. The Bible talks about these things and tells us about these things. And so I just want to read just some one of the verse pertaining to this is, again, as we kind of already read earlier, this is from Leviticus as well, which warns us again, just very similar as what John said, do not turn to mediums or necromancers, do not seek them out, and do not make yourselves unclean by them. I am the Lord your God. Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test every spirit to see whether it is from God. The spirits that they're using are not from God. For many false prophets have came out into the world. John 1, 4 and 1. So we have to be conscious of these things because, again, the devil can masquerade as an angel of light, and he will show us things and talk to people that are willing to listen and get them to distract them from the truth. Because again, what they described them is just to show you guys how much the enemy can deceive you and show you real things and tell you real things and just slightly bend the truth to take your focus off of God and get your focus on him and focus on other things, because they describe the Ark of the Covenant very accurately. Because the Ark of the Covenant was a wooden chest. It was overlaid with gold and had gold molding around it. It was 45 inches long, 27 inches wide, and 27 inches high. It had 4 gold rings attached to its feet, and a arsina wood poles overlaid with gold were inserted into the rings for carrying. The Ark of the Covenant, this is what biblically what the Ark of the Covenant really symbolized. The Ark of the Covenant represents God's presence on earth and was placed it was placed where people could go to petition God. It was a symbol of God's power and protection, and the Israelites believed that as long as the Ark of the Covenant was with them, they would not be conquered. So guys, just want to bring some light to that, to show that God's truth will prevail times, that everything that the Bible says and talks about is true, even when it's done this way, which is not correct. Using psychics and necromancers and people that interact with demons to show us these things. This is not the way to show them, but I do believe it gleams on truth. Believe it gleams on the realness of the Bible, though the world may be distracted by it. Just thought it was a cool thing that came up, and secondly, it was interesting, so I couldn't just pass this up. The CIA releasing things on the CIA. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up today's podcast. This is episode 35 of the King Josiah TV podcast. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for sticking along. We're going to keep pushing these videos out. If this video encouraged you or you had a comment, go ahead and drop it below. Let's have the discussion. I know these are controversial subjects, guys, so I want to hear your input. Go ahead and drop a comment below, hit the like button, share it to somebody you might think that might have an interest in these sort of topics or sort of subjects. That helps the channel grow. Again, guys, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, hit the follow button before we get out of here. If you're listening on YouTube, if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, guys. I will see you next week.
When my salvation on me like it's a helmet. The way you to sin is death for send you to hell quick. Wanted to be all about me, God, I was selfish.